Let's memorize the 206 bones of the human skeleton. Let's go. The human skeleton is divided into axial skeleton and appendicular skeleton. How I remember axial skeleton is SSCC, S skull, S sternum, cage, C, and column. Cage or rib cage, column or vertebral column. How I remember appendicular skeleton is simply PPAA, pectoral girdle, pelvic girdle, appendages and appendages. The appendages that go with pectoral girdle are forelimbs and the appendages that go with pelvic girdle are the hind limbs. Let's start with the axial skeleton, skull. The skull is divided into cranium and facial bones. There are 8 cranium bones. How I remember? 8 head, cranium, 8. 14 facial bones, F for 14, F for facial bones. The one thing that you should remember about these is basically that there are 2 paired cranium bones and there are 2 unpaired facial bones. The 2 paired cranium bones, P for paired, P for parietal and temporal. You should remember that parietal and temporal are the 2 bones that are paired of cranium. All the other bones out of these 8 bones are all unpaired. While for the facial bones, there are 2 unpaired bones, the mandible and the vomer. Let's move on to the rib cage now. These are your rib cage. So there are 12 pairs of ribs. Let's break them. 7 and 3, 10. 10 and 2, 12. 7, 3, 2. 7 are true ribs which attach directly to the sternum. 3 are false ribs that attach indirectly to the sternum. And 2 are floating ribs that do not attach to the sternum. Now let's move on to vertebral column. This is the vertebral column. There are 33 bones in the vertebral column which are fused to form 26 bones. The number is very important and you should remember that. Now let's hear my story. I went to school at 7, school cervical. I came back at 12, T for 12, T for thoracic. I slept till 5. Now you should know that slept is S-L-E-P-T. S sacral, L lumbar. S sacral, L lumbar. And I missed my cooking class at 4. Coccygeal cooking class. There are 2 more things that you should know. 1, ear ossicles and 2, the hyoid bone. Hyoid bone is obviously just one bone. Then about the ear ossicles, how I remember ear ossicles are SIM, S-I-M, SIM. Stapes, incus and malleus. Now let's talk about the appendicular skeleton. The appendicular skeleton is divided into the pelvic girdle and the hind limbs and the pectoral girdle and the forelimbs. The pelvic girdle, how I remember, 1, 2 and 3. 1 pelvic girdle, 2 coxal bones and each of those 2 coxal bones are made up of 3 bones, the ilium, ischium and the pubis. Now let's move on to the hind limbs. The hind limbs are divided into the femur, tibia and the fibula. There's also patella or the kneecap. Then you should know that there's 7 tarsal bones. These are the tarsal bones here. They are 7 in number. Then we have the metatarsals and then we have the phalanges in fingers. 7 tarsals, 5 metatarsals and 14 phalanges. 7 minus 2, 5 and 7 times 2 is 14. So 7 tarsals, 5 metatarsals and 14 phalanges. Now let's move to the pectoral girdle. The pectoral girdle has 1 clavicle and 1 scapula on each side. So that means there are 2 clavicle and 2 scapula. Then let's move to the forelimbs. The humerus, radius and the ulna. The radius is always towards the side of the thumb and that you should remember. This is the radius and this is the ulna. Then we have the carpals, metacarpals and the phalanges. As we remembered earlier about the tarsals, metatarsals and phalanges, the numbers is exactly the same except for the carpals, which is 1 greater. So there are 8 carpal bones, 5 metacarpals and 14 phalanges. Now let's see how much you remember. Comment down your answer for the following question.